So I want to talk now about drive, attitude and confidence. What makes the difference? So let me throw an example at you. You want to employ 5 people in your business and you put the job application out there, you do the review of interviews and you find that 5 people exactly meet the criteria. That means that they've got the qualifications that you need, they've had the training that you need, and they've got the experience that you want. So the question then becomes, what happens to those 5 people? How are they actually going to perform in the job? Now, you probably all remember back from your school days, something called a bell curve. Looks something like this. Now, what we're talking here, when we're starting to talk about bell curves and probability, is we're talking about universal principles. So what it will show is this. You'll employ 5 people, okay? One of those people, let's say 20%, will probably fail to meet the expectations of the job. 3 of the people, 60%, will meet the expectations of the job. 1 person will excel and exceed the expectations. So if they all came on board with the same experience and the same qualifications and skill, what makes the difference? Why does 1 person excel over the others? The difference? The difference is this. The difference is actually how they turn up every day. What are they driven towards? What attitude do they bring? What is their level of confidence? Okay. Now, let's talk about goals. Okay. We've talked about that a long way through this journey. But goals, the purpose of goals is to set a destination. The purpose of goals is to give us something to strive towards or something to drive towards. It's something that we want to achieve. Okay. Now, again, in other videos, I've spoken a lot about the difference between positive thinking and negative thinking, about our attitude. Do we believe it's possible or not possible? Are we in here for the long haul or not? Are we playing above the line, being the victor or not? This is what we talk about when we talk about attitude. What's the mindset that you wake up with every single day? And then thirdly, we talk about confidence. Now, there has to be a level of confidence, and that's confidence in terms of self-confidence, confidence in your ability to be able to do what you say you want to do. And these 3 here apply no matter what area you're talking about, whether it's your attitude to creating wealth and money, whether it's your attitude to your work or your employment, if it's building your own business, or if it's your drive, attitude, and confidence in terms of a relationship. These are universal principles that apply no matter what. You have to actually get up and be motivated towards something. Otherwise, you're going to end up with an average life. You're going to be one of these people who potentially is going to fall in this middle ground that will go, well, that's okay. I've got an average life. And if that's what you want, that's fine. Or worse still, you could be one of these people who fall right off the bottom of the chart, who actually fail at what they're actually looking for. My bet is that you want to be one of these people down here. You want to be part of the 20% that actually excel. Now, I want to talk about another principle now about how you actually use your time to get into this 20%. So, there's another universal law called the 80-20 rule, sometimes referred to as the Pareto principle. Now, Pareto was an Italian surveyor who actually surveyed all land ownership in Italy hundreds of years ago. And what he found was this. He found that 80% of the land was owned by 20% of the people. Okay? And if you look at any statistics you see now today about wealth worldwide, you'll probably find that about 20% of the people in the world have about 80% of the wealth. Okay? It's a universal principle. That's the way it works. Let's apply it to business. Let's say you've got a sales team. You'll probably find that 20% of your salespeople are delivering 80% of the results, or maybe 20% of your customers are delivering 80% of your revenue. It's actually a universal principle. It operates in every area. So how does that apply to this rule, to exceeding and getting into the 20%? Well, it's a universal principle, so it can actually be laddered down at any particular level. So what it means is you, in any area of your life, you'll probably find that 20% of what you do is delivering 80% of your results. So maybe you're the sort of person who has a to-do list. You know, and maybe the sort of person sometimes that has that to-do list that maybe has the easy things at the top and some of the hard things at the bottom. And maybe each day you tick off all the easy things and you're going, oh, hey, I'm doing really well here. I'm getting lots done. But every day there's a couple of these big ones at the bottom and they just get transferred to the next day or the next day or the next day. Okay? But what are you really achieving? Okay? You don't want to confuse productivity for effectiveness. You're very, very busy, but you're not really effective. When we look at the 80-20 rule, we're talking about effectiveness. What's the 20% of things that you do that are going to be the big results? You know, if I only did 2 things at work today, what are the 2 things that count that are going to make the big difference? If I look at my relationships, what are the 2 things I can do for my partner or my children that are going to make the big difference? Not the everyday stuff that I do. What's going to make the real big difference? So when we're talking here about excellence or about achieving outstanding performance, and we want to look at, well, do you have the drive? Do you have the right attitude and the confidence to excel into this 20%? We've got to look at universal principles like that to go, well, how do we use our time? How do we actually get motivated today to follow through on what we need to do? And what are the big things I'm going to do today to help me achieve and get into this 20% of outstanding performance?